September 1st, Saturday. We're here in the afternoon on the observation deck of Queen Mary. We're going to have a very quick introduction. Quick introduction to family things, and then which will be supposed to be just kind of a quick review, and then we will go into some of the details. Anyway, most of you know, as if we're talking vintage, we're talking about the idea that the ballpoint, which was basically invented, actually the original ballpoint pen was thought of before World War II, but it wasn't until after World War II that they were able to really come up with ballpoint pens. So for the vintage era, for the most part, if you're using a pen, you're going to be using a fountain or a dip pen. So dip pens are exactly what they say. The style is much like this, where you're going to place the pen in. It's going to grab a small drop of ink, and it will allow you to write sometimes almost a page worth. The concept is that with the fountain pen, the body of the pen is a reservoir that will hold the ink. One of the main differences from the old type of dip pens, where they didn't have this black feed, they just had a metal piece of a hole in it that was there, is it would simply hold the ink by the surface tension of the liquid. With the invention of this feed, it basically becomes a controlled beat, so that it allows you to then write. And then if you have a big reservoir, you can write and write and write. So this one here is an older style. This is an Estabrook. If you see, it has the lever. I'm not going to pull it out because it'll shoot ink out. But that's the type, as if you've ever watched the Three Stooges, is as they would pull the lever out, it would empty the thing, it would shoot ink on somebody's face. The idea is that in this style, there's a rubber sack, and there's like a spring bar in there. You push the lever, it compresses the sack, stick it in the ink, put it back, draws the ink up into the sack. Sometime later than that, there's a style that acts more like a syringe, and that's, in this style, is called a piston filler. In modern pens, if they say that it has a converter, a lot of times it has the same type of piston filler where you twist it and it acts like a hypodermic needle. Some actually have plungers, others have a little sack that you squeeze, but this is the more modern style. This is actually a Pelican pen. This one's a modern, in the 200 series, a transparent one. So, but it does have the reservoir in here. Again, with the idea of a fountain pen, the invention that really makes it was made by Mr. Waterman. Waterman being one of the great pen brands in the United States. He came up with the idea of this feed that we basically call beginning for fountain pens is we have a tremendous amount of brands in the United States. The list is actually hundreds, and actually many places many more. There were companies that simply made pen parts, and there were people that would have maybe like a pharmacy or some type of stationery store would actually put together pens on their own, and they would have absolutely no So it was the type of thing in which pens were being put together in small towns and cities all over the place. And you have all of the various brands. So the names that are usually the most associated with fountain pens is Waterman, Schaefer, Esterbrook, of course, Parker, which is one of the really big names too. There's other names like Sheldon and Aiken Lambert and maybe Todd, Swan, all sorts of brands. These brands are the ones that if you do collect, you will find that there will be a time to do research. If you're interested in researching pens, there's plenty of information online. You can search around on many websites. There's lots of people that are selling pens, vintage pens that have been reconditioned so that they work extremely well. And also, one of the guys, there's an author, his name is Paul Arana, spelled E-R-A-N-O. And he has one book that's basically one of the best introduction books that I've ever seen. And he covers from the earliest pens through the golden age of the 30s, where the great iconic pens are being made, and then on up into some of the more modern pens. So if you're looking for something, that one would really be a good book to kind of start with first. The other thing that I wanted to say is that it is possible at home or at, you've got elderly relatives, go and ask them, Dad, Uncle so-and-so, do you have any old fountain pens that are tucked away? Because fountain pens were basically the idea of a lifetime gift. Received one, that was a gift for a lifetime. A good fountain pen would last pretty much forever. The idea is that if they do have one and they say, oh, well, this one's broken, or this one's this, or this one's that, a lot of times they can be repaired. There are places that will do pen repair. Here in Southern California, you've got Fred over at Fountain Pen Shop in Monrovia. That would be a really great place. Some of the guys that are members of the Pen Club will also do repairs, so it's a good thing. You can really get some really great pens that have a lot of history and have them put back together so that they will work actually better than many modern pens. The manufacturer of pens, this part here, the metal part, is called a nib. And in general, a lot of the early pens, when they started off with nib pens, they made them out of stamped steel. And on the end, this point is split into two tines. And so, on some pens, they were all steel, and there's a little ball on the end that actually does the writing on the surface. And that ball will actually change so that it will be basically worn so that it fits your writing style, which is one of the reasons why they say you really shouldn't own fountain pens. In later pens is they learned to make nibs out of different metals, and one of the more common metals then is gold. And the gold can be 12.14, 18, 22. That's so it'll run the gamut. And then what they did though is gold is a very soft metal, so they had to learn to tip it. And so on the end, that little ball is a metal that they loosely call iridium. It's part of the platinum group. It's a very hard metal, a very long-wearing metal, and they've actually done all sorts of tests on vintage pens, and the actual metal content varies tremendously. There's a lot of supposing as to what the original source was, and some people actually have put forward the idea that the original ones were actually, like from meteorites and stuff. So, very interesting idea. But in general, they will contain a lot of metals from the platinum group. Often they're not iridium at all, but they will contain other ones like rhodium to make up the core. It takes a lot to make a precision nib. And so the other thing is that if you have a fountain pen or a dip pen, and it's scratching. Is what has happened is that the pen has gotten either pushed too hard or it was dropped, and so the ball itself, the two parts, are now out of alignment, and the edges that are there are now splayed out so that it's catching on the paper in one direction or another. And a good repair guy, we would call a nibmeister, will be able to repair a lot of pens. So it is possible to get a tweak nib repair.
Can you do it yourself?
It's possible, but it's the type of thing in which if you don't know what you're doing, you can ruin things and break things really quickly. It's like if you try and clean stuff that you don't know how to clean, you can get into a lot of trouble. Fixing nibs takes a lot. Again, one of the things, some of the modern pens, like the Pelican ones, is this whole section kind of screws apart, and so you can change the nibs on Pelicans pretty easily. In the Eskerbergs, one of the things was is that they started off as an actual nib manufacturer for dip pens, and so this metal part and the feed are all one piece together, and the whole thing screws out. They made about 40 different styles of nibs, so that you can always get something that would match the style of handwriting that you have. Introduction to the